Every word I said.
I'm so glad to see you again.
We should probably see if any of the outreach students want to apply for the new coaching job.
What do you mean? We still have our head.
No, he hadn't, but Napier's gone and the guy from Penn State's gone.
He's gone. I
The
think
others.
if we
That's a tough profession.
It's not.
Oh, now, first you have to be successful.
I'm sure.
Then you get the big contract with the big buyout.
Penn State guy just got paid like $50 million to not have a job.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Wait a minute now, let's go to Texas A&M.
It's like,
How much did
oh,
Jim
they,
get?
well,
$76 million.
and it's doubled actually with part of the staff too. They all have buyouts that are.
Combined equal to about the coach.
Y'all have to help me out here. Who's stroking these checks?
So, I mean, it's crazy.
So sometimes you don't even have to be that successful. You just have to be average enough to where people drink the Kool-Aid and they're like, all right, yeah, this guy's going to take us somewhere.
Somebody has got to be writing these checks.
I know it. I don't know where it's at. It's all the boosters. It's all the.
We have that many boosters?
Well, I thought it was that public university, like even the head coaches are considered state employees. Like they're some of the
That's
highest
true
paid
here.
state
Yeah,
employees.
sure.
So,
It's a 10-year vest
yeah.
in the state system.
So does that come out of taxes?
That kind of cuts down. Oh yeah, we're all helping that, but the buyouts don't.
Okay.
Just the base salary. Every coach has a reasonable base salary, then all sorts of extra stuff put on there.
Okay.
With incentive.
Oof. All right, change management, which is what we're going through now. You ready? Are we at Arkansas or are they here?
At Arkansas.
Okay, so it could be this week.
Yeah.
It could be.
They're 2-5.
So,
All right. God, we're killing me. Okay, so this organizational readiness we talked about, because I have to give them credit, Amazon's got probably the best data collection systems in the fulfillment business. And so they've got the data infrastructure, they've had it around since they got cranked up. The web services, even though it's down, or it went down this weekend, they do have the infrastructure in place. And then they did have their solutions. You know, these things, when you look at them, they come in process by process. So Amazon started the recommendation engine. Then they had already done demand forecasting and they tied it into their fulfillment system. So that's pretty normal as far as they started off as an electronic commerce company. What you really ought to be looking at here is when you see what Amazon's done, try Walmart. They came through the bricks and mortar world. It's like IBM back in the day when they were a mainframe company before Lou Gerstner came in there and turned them into a services company, software company. This is straightforward because they started off with digital. Walmart did not. And so they had a much harder path. They do have some explanation in their networks that'll give you insights how your data are being used. Have y'all ever done any control with privacy settings with Amazon? I haven't either. If anybody wants to know if I bought an electric hedge clipper, just ask me. That's not a real problem. But I guess with businesses, that's a little different. So they've got their different processes. Like I said, every process, different key performance indicator, proactive customer notifications. That's dealing with filter bubbles. And, you know, when you're looking at it, you got two types of customers. You got business and individual. And so there are a whole lot of different things that go on there depending. This transition thing for change management with workers, a fraction of workers are going to be upskilled. Okay, not everyone is going to be qualified, nor do they have that many positions. Once I've gotten rid of all the pickers and I've replaced them with bots, then you're going to end up with people who you saw the guy walking out on the floor looking for that lost product or that lost item, and then you have trainers, you have maintenance people. Maintenance is real big with robots. That's great. Skill development, it's offered. I would be interested to know, I've not seen the figures on how many of their employees take advantage of that. I would expect that, when you look at the applications, natural language processing, they're trying to move into healthcare, obviously logistics. You've got this going, but I think that when you look for employee improvement, you're not going to handle this when it says ergonomic machine learning tools to analyze worker movements. Look, you're not going to compete with muscle. You have to compete in your head. Okay, you're not going to beat a bot. I don't care how much ergonomics they give you or any of those exoskeletons. They've tried that, but they're really expensive, and the next generation of the bot's going to pass you right up. So that's not going to happen. Of course, we've dealt with data forever. This augmented human decision making, that's fine. Now they have looked at, healthcare is tough, guys. I think it's great that Amazon wants to get in that space. That's going to be a grind. You guys had the disruptives class, you know what I'm talking about. Healthcare is like education. It's driven by employees or practitioners who are very resistant to change, and it's very high touch. And so, when you're looking at decision support tools, I think that's fine. I was telling you guys, when we get to AI agents, my guess is in the next 4 or 5 years, most physicians will have one, and I think you guys should all be asking them, do you have one or not? I've already started that, and right now I'm 0 for every physician I've talked to. I'm 0 for at least 10 or 20 here in town. Are you going to use an AI agent? What's an AI agent? Are you going to use an AI assistant? Well, I've got one that scribes for me. No, I mean one that you go to for diagnoses. Oh no. So that's where I am. So far I haven't found one. Automation, human oversight, I think that's fine because once again you're dealing with workers. This requires some explanation, as you can imagine. Like I said, your emotional quotient has to be very high. And it's you've got the bottom line here that really gets into it with automation. It's just like driverless trucks that we talked about, dropping the humans, think Trucker Brown. That's the kind of conversations that you have. Customer reviews, I think that's fine. We all know 1s and 5s are probably written by farms, but they do get some useful information out of those. I would imagine if you got the opportunity to fill out a questionnaire, you better hope that it's anonymous. They do get feedback about workplace conditions. Then you read the articles about how people are breaking down physically because they're paid piece rate. That's not a good idea. And then, of course, they're having to really get sophisticated with fake reviews and counterfeit products. This goes on all the time. This stuff never stops. And so they've done it gradually. That's true. Efficiency, of course. Problem-solving framing, that's very straightforward. But if you look at this and you're saying, okay, proactive risk, this gets into your legal ramifications, privacy, safety, and compliance. Naturally, every system out there is going to evolve. Okay, every machine learning system evolves by definition. The Amazon Scout, that's that little robot for the last mile delivery. Healthcare applications, once again, that's a can of worms. Amazon's not up to speed on that. They're going to have to get that way. So let me put this in when you look through all these things, this is just change management at Amazon. Think Walmart. They came up through bricks and mortar. They're getting slaughtered by Amazon in the marketplace. They knew that. When was Walmart founded?
60s?
50s. Okay, Uncle Sam Walton. Goes in there, decides he wants to sell everybody everyday low prices, and he's bricks and mortar, all those tons of stores, which means he has yes or no dynamic pricing.
Yes.
No. You can't dynamic price if you have physical tags on goods. Okay? So they didn't get to Walmart.com until the early 2000s. That company was 50 years old. When was Amazon founded?
90s.
94, 92, something in there. Walmart was 40-something years old. So they had a physical presence. Amazon with the digital presence, good thinking. Now Walmart's competing with the famous Walmart.com. Y'all know what their first website looked like?
Really bad.
Yeah, it was what we call sparse. What they put on their website?
Hours of operation.
Hmm?
Hours of operation.
Exactly. Hours of operation, how to find the nearest store. Put in your address and we'll tell you where the nearest store is. They hadn't built out all the stuff like we have now. So here's the nearest store. You couldn't order any products. It was not transactional, just strictly informational. Okay. Then they were still getting slaughtered by Amazon. Amazon's already going through this. So Walmart.com has to catch up. They have to do dynamic pricing. Then they discovered the word analytics. Okay, we're in 2025. You guys got cranked up in analytics during COVID, 2022, while y'all were coming through Auburn. Okay, Walmart wasn't that far ahead of you. Okay, so they're having to do their stuff. They do have a physical infrastructure, and they're going through all of this stuff that you see here with a physical plant, and their executives came up through the bricks and mortar world. It was a nightmare. Okay, to do dynamic pricing, they bought Jet.com. The CEO of Jet came in and took over Walmart.com. Okay, now Walmart.com is not Amazon. Amazon, as you know, goes with third-party sellers. Walmart resisted that forever. Okay, they'll do it now, but it's still a little bit piecemeal. What they do have is a physical presence. And what's the big thing there? As I said, the price tags on everything, which means you have to price match what's coming off the website. That's the first thing. The second thing is returns. Now, Walmart already came in on Prime, okay, because they had to fight Amazon Prime, is what I'm trying to get at. But also, Amazon was real good about returns, pretty much, not so much on third-party sellers. Walmart wouldn't let you do it. Very complicated. Now, of course, you go to any store, no problem. So they had to match all this stuff. So please understand, this is an electronic company, digital company, going through all of this digital change. All right, now, if you look at this, and you go through all this change management that Amazon's been doing, and you say, okay, somebody tell me what's next for Amazon. Not Walmart, just Amazon.
Like what they have next on their docket?
What would you do? You're in charge of that. You're now Jeff Bezos, or you're the CEO. What are they going to do next?
You mentioned they were getting into pharmaceuticals.
Okay, new business lines. Okay, pharmaceuticals would be great. Power of the purse. Healthcare, if you can do it. They're already into groceries. Who bought Whole Foods?
Was it Amazon?
Who bought Whole Foods?
Wasn't it Amazon?
Amazon. Who got into groceries first, Walmart or Amazon?
Walmart.
Walmart did. Walmart groceries.
They're also doing the drones. I guess are already doing it, but they're trying to still build it out.
Trying to do the last mile delivery, some kind of drones flying. People are very irritated about that. They do not like drones flying over their house. The drones are quiet, but they all have GoPro cameras on them. So that irritates people, especially in the countryside. It's like, oh good, I get to shoot skeet today. So this is, it's interesting to go over stuff like this when you think, somebody's got to think this up. This is business professional stuff, by the way. Yeah.
I did test out a theory. So when the last time we were talking about Walmart and they were getting into like AI and trying to like tweak some of their technical machine learning issues on the back end. I ordered from Walmart for the first time, and they left something out of my order. And so I went to go address it with like their machine learning bots and stuff. And it kept asking me if I wanted to return something. And so I kept flipping back and forward because like the actual use of it was really good, I found out, because like they returned it without like questions asked, without me having to go to the front desk or anything. But we kept flipping back and forward because they kept acting like it was a return. So I kept hitting the back arrow, and then I just decided to select return, and then it let me refund it. So the like actual refunding part was easy, but it was trying to make it seem like I was returning something rather than I just didn't get my order.
And all you wanted was a refund for not getting that part of your order. And it was only part of the order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is that, guys? That's a web glitch. It's an edge case. And that would irritate a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, General Electric, they do their evaluation on data infrastructure. By the way, this comes into data scientists there. If you're going to do AI literacy in the workforce, that's a real interesting questionnaire. That's kind of fascinating because depending on what department and what level the person is, as to whether or not they have any idea. Then you've got receptiveness. Look, if you're going to put a machine learning program in and you're going to address a process, is this top down or bottom up? Top down. Okay, those people in UPS weren't happy that you're going to come in there with that machine learning. Neither was General Electric, but they did want to find divisions who were at least ready for adoption, which meant they had some AI literacy and there wasn't a whole lot of overt resistance. Now, the real problem is covert. Okay, you got overt and covert. Overt, somebody's going to have something to say, and covert, they're just going to go try to sabotage it quietly. This is not unusual. This goes back to the IT world. So they're going to have to figure out which ones are ready and where you're going to invest in training and infrastructure. Okay, think back to Accenture 2 weeks ago. The CEO of Accenture she came out, she said, if you do not want to do this, we're going to have AI literacy, we're going to train you up. If you're not ready, we're going to fire you. She wasn't kidding. They're going to spend $900 million getting everybody AI in their company. And Accenture is not a small company. Okay? Well, IBM came up with Watson, naturally, the Jeopardy contest. And so what they wanted to do is implement across their business units because they spent $20 million on it to win that game show. So they figured they maybe ought to use it in their company. They sent it to medical school, but they also wanted to put it to good use. And so they have town hall meetings. As stupid as that looks, it's not a bad idea. Doesn't work too well today for politicians, but in a company, you've got basically you're explaining. And you can't go in there. These are town hall meetings inside the company. And the executives were farmed out, and they basically handled the questions. And I'll have to tell you, I was in one of those meetings, and our general manager did a great job. The question was what? What's going to happen to jobs? I'd love to tell you all there were some other questions asked, but that was the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. By the time we got to the sixth, they were asking about the prices. It's all anybody worried about, naturally. It's all we would worry about. Okay, so they came up with an intranet site. This was great. The FAQs, that handles some of it, and they did talk about success stories, but every time you have a success story of machine learning, you got a job displacement problem. And then, of course, they went ahead and did webinars too. That really did help. This was a big discussion right here, the role of human expertise in a machine learning marketplace. I don't think they had our 3 blobs. Okay, it would have been nice to have those back then. And these are goals that companies are using. Accenture's got their Navigator. Walmart's got Walt. That was cute. IBM's AI Skills. Deloitte has Deloitte Academy. Airbnb has Data University, which I think is absolutely the wrong name. And then Microsoft has their AI School. So everybody's desperately to get in this space. Now, you guys have to be careful. When you leave here, you may be put in as trainers, okay, in one of these academies. Now, there's some good news there. The good news is you're going to make a lot of money because that's very high reward while you train other people. The bad news is you're not on active engagements. Okay, so make sure you specify your time, the amount of time you'll spend in training. Okay, so the biggest problem educating employees naturally, future impact on jobs. I cannot overemphasize that. Augmentation lead to job changes for which workers need to be prepared. Well, if you're going to tell them this, you're going to have to prepare them. And then this means, you know, if you're preparing somebody, look, say you work a whole day. You're in there 55 hours as a white collar worker, but you don't know jack about AI. And your company tells you, okay, we're going to have a dedicated intranet site. On this site, by the way, this is where all the training videos are, all the didactic material. We're going to do webinars, etc. But then we're also going to have the Navigator program or the Skills Academy. And you're going to have somebody doing their regular job and then doing this at night. It's not a good idea. So you have to pull a lot of people off the line so they can go to school. Now, the good news is they do have resident programs, but you can do this from your computer. Okay. So that does help. But this is the type of thing that it's not a good idea to have somebody working a full-time job and then spending nighttime. And all the outreach students are out there saying, well, that's what I'm doing here while I'm going through Auburn. They're working and then they get to do this on the weekends. Okay, so I put this down here. Now's the time to educate employees. Well, I'd say we're about 10 years too late now. But as you know, you've heard about upskilling and reskilling. Okay, Amazon spending $750 million on retraining. Again, machine learning. Third on their fulfillment centers, transportation network, and non-technical roles at headquarters. The technical roles are the data scientists. Then retraining, that's a great idea. IT support technicians. A lot of work going on now with people who get 2-year school training to support robots, which is kind of interesting in itself. Shell decided they didn't want to put up their own academy, so they got the Udacity, that online university. And they're running right now data scientists. This is you've got a little problem now because some schools are trying to train data scientists, but they're not getting foundational mathematics. A true data scientist comes through high-level math, PhD level mathematics, PhD level statistics. Some of them are coming out of econometrics, but these are highly technical people. And when you try to run them through a business program and say you're going to have data scientists, you got to be real careful with that because you're going to get fouled up between analysts and data scientists. A nano degree, look, it takes 4 to 6 months to finish, 10 to 15 hours a week for 4 to 6 months, and it's called a nano degree. They're obviously trying to create data scientists. So Udacity does have those courses, but not many people want to take the background math. Airbus married up with Udacity. They were looking for analytics and data scientists. Good news is you guys won't have to fool with that. And then they're really wanted to get, people are really looking for synergism. When everybody knows something about machine learning, things move a lot quicker. And that's really good. The cross-functional committees, Salesforce has done interestingly with their advice. advisory council, people inside and outside. A lot of times you'll see ethicists get pulled out of universities. Bank of America, of course, risk. Axon's ethics board. They really want to try to make sure that the machine learning system itself is not biased. And that's not unusual at all. Now, governance, that's a little more interesting. This is business professional stuff. Your analyst will help you out here. Deloitte is really into this, as you can tell. They're running governance all the way through, especially over all their major processes. And that's great. They've come out of human-centric to machine learning-centric, and we've already talked about the tools. So that's helpful. That's their AI Academy. Then they've got a trustworthy AI framework. And here they're looking for these characteristics. By the way, there's nothing that'll drive data scientists more crazy than a business professional to come in there and say, your systems are biased. They're not transparent. They're not fair. You're discriminating against this group. Oh, by the way, we've got to be careful with privacy. This is coming into generative AI when people put sensitive corporate data into prompts, etc. This absolutely makes them nuts. That's what you're going to be doing. Call them out. If you don't, a regulatory agency is. And then Deloitte Academy, this is real interesting. Not only are they training people, they're identifying future talent. To get into Deloitte's Academy is tight. A lot of people want to do that. Because you spend a few months, you're not on engagement, you're training, and then you go back out to engagements, and they are being moved up quickly. Again, their framework, they're advising their clients on trustworthy AI, and here's the thing. Once the neural networks get big enough, this is very, very, very difficult to do. Why? Black box. Somebody wants to know how to explain a decision a thing made. Be honest. If you can't break it down and show them, don't say you can. And with generative AI, it is a mess. Right now, conventional AI, we can do most of these things, even though the neural networks are getting pretty complicated. The black box is still available, and it's still completely messing things up when somebody calls the system to task. Okay, we've got to focus on compliance naturally, regulatory, financial. Yeah, pretty much that's pretty straightforward how you handle that big a consulting company. And they're trying to handle the client data for the clients so that they can, work their way through what machine learning is doing for them or not. And that's their IntelliSystem. So I really like what they've done, but it is it's a constant tension between ethics and let's get this thing rolled out. Don't forget, Deloitte's using machine learning inside its company, but they're also consulting on machine learning for all their clients. So that's essentially what Deloitte's doing, and Accenture's doing the same thing we talked about. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I just ended up duplicating those. Okay, did that. Okay. All right. Specific, this particular ABB is a large industrial company. Their industrial automation, smart infrastructure, and digitalization. The idea here was to get their stakeholders involved. Everybody does that. It's internal and external. They've got governance, put in their risk management, and all this is business professional stuff. Potential risk and compliance issues. That's what everybody gets to have, these meetings. These meetings, they do run on. Now here's the thing. You have these meetings before you put the system in on which processes you should put them in. Then you have them while the process is running. Then you have it when you're maintaining the system. This never ends. So they're optimizing energy management here. That's their process they're looking at. Sustainability here, that's green energy, and trying to tie that into environmental responsibility. The good news is everybody's looking at sustainability and environmental responsibility if they're thinking, maybe not the oil companies, everybody else is. But as rapidly as solar is developing, this is getting a lot easier, thank goodness. Capital One, the CIO is the sponsor. Good person to choose. And you've got the data scientists and machine learning engineers developing these models. Okay, by the way, who gave them their marching orders? You did. So they develop the models, and you're going to assess them. The analyst work with the team. All right. The ethics author, obviously, it's interesting to have an entire ethical group. And then their customer service reps give you the feedback. This is a pretty good standard about the way they do things. P&G, they got a chief digital officer out there. Again, their technical people get the models. The marketing analysts are the business analysts in this group. Their ethics committee here, and of course the factory workers and supply chain manager, key end users. What drove this whole process is this guy, this man or woman, is a business professional. And he or she will have a staff of business professionals. They drive this process. The New York Times, a newspaper, run out of business by digital advertising. So their CTO's their sponsor. So his or her staff, and they got the tools for content recommendation, automated content tagging naturally. Notice, journalists and editors serve as business analysts and end users. My guess is very few of these people are business analysts. These are business professionals here, and they will chat about how the tool works for them. And then they've got the ethics board. That's really important in our current climate, journalistic integrity. The Times is doing a pretty good job surviving. We don't have that many newspapers left. There's Walmart. They've got a chief data officer. There's your sponsor. And then inventory management, predict customer behavior. Just think what they're doing on Amazon. So they got the needs analysis, and they comply with ethical standards. And then the store managers and associates use these tools. What happens is you get a feedback loop going on all of these. Microsoft, they do have their responsible AI standard. And the idea is to run through the entire life cycle. But what they've done, they put all these principles in, and everybody has these. Now, whether or not they work or not, that's pretty close held. But at least everybody's giving it a go. Now, they got a review process. They've got their own fairness dashboard. You guys are familiar with executive dashboards. And they're checking for unfairness in their systems. And facial recognition, for example. Notice instructions not to sell this technology to certain entities based on human rights concerns. Facial recognition is a problem. Some of the companies have moved very quickly in it, and you have to be very careful who's going to use the technology, and do they tell people they're actually using it. Think police departments. This is an ongoing problem. It's interesting that Microsoft at least has these guidelines in place, but false positives, false negatives we've talked about. And I would imagine that the technology is a couple of generations past what's being used right now on anything outside perhaps the federal government. We're not hearing a lot about that right now. There will be cases that are all the ICE raids that we got going on around the country right now. They're using facial recognition. By the way, the reason those agents are all wearing masks for the exact same reason. Capital One compliance framework naturally because they're essentially a seriously large bank. What they get here is when you're international, now you're in a different situation. The European Union has their general data protection regulations, which are vastly different from the states, and they sued Google, Microsoft, a few of the others, probably Meta, to the tune of billions of dollars for abuse of your personal data. Now, that doesn't apply in the States. It applies in Europe. Okay, so that's where they're paying the fines. We don't get paid for the use of our data. There's a big question, should we? Particularly if it's vacuumed up with generative AI. And so if you're in the financial industry, naturally you've got to handle the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, et cetera. That's in the States. You get to Europe, things get different. India is the same thing. So they got the compliance team where we get the legal people in there, the belt and suspenders folks, where they're questioning everything, and they should, then compliance officers and so forth. Those are interesting meetings, by the way. If you want to see a group roll their eyes, have a lawyer take the floor. Okay, well, the same thing here. So we've got compliance issues we have to check. You've got to have serious documentation, of course. By the way, this is true across all machine learning projects. The documentation, which used to be fairly simple for information technology, is not with neural networks, hence the black box problem. And of course, every system gets audited. No doubt about it. Unilever's running consumer goods. They've got a compliance process as well. They're international. They handle use cases. They do review them with external experts. Notice, the project proposer is then informed. So a business professional has proposed this process. Then they run through the use cases and check compliance and ethics. And then the proposer is advised of the risks. Notice necessary mitigations. In other words, go back to the drawing board and make sure that you've handled these potential issues. Not bad. They do have the external party then comes in to run statistical tests, which is very interesting in areas like real estate, hiring. HR gets all over this. They propose mitigation. If the risk can't be handled, then you reject the application. You don't develop the proposal. Notice final decisions. Senior executives. What is the final decision? It's based on the process. Okay, this is what we're going to do with this process. Are we going to go forward with it? Yes or no? Somebody's got to make the final decision. For example, the use of facial recognition for factory access. Okay, the company had to ensure that the system was accurate for all employees because they were using facial recognition to get into their factories. And regardless of their appearance, well, if you're an employee and you just grew out a beard over Christmas, you may get blown out, okay? You may not be recognized. So you've got to have appearance changes. The database of facial coordinates is securely stored. Okay, every single one of you, if you've ever done anything on Facebook at all, you're now tagged. So your facial coordinates are now stored by Mark Zuckerberg. So Marky Mark can find you guys wherever you are on the internet. Okay, well, Unilever, if they're going to do this for their own employees, they have to have a very secure database here. Notice the fail-safe system that allows employees to gain access if the system doesn't recognize you. Well, what's that fail-safe system? Congratulations, you're on call. And the human gets the call. What a fantastic job. Kelly, I can't get in the damn factory. I'm hung up at the door. I guess I have to go down there. Or I put a guard in a guard shack, which kind of takes away from the system itself. But you got to do that. And of course, Walmart has their own council, Data Governance Council. Notice all aspects of data management across the organization. And this is interesting. Data minimization is a great idea. What do most companies practice? Data maximization. Every single thing I can gather on you, I'm going to keep forever. Well, Walmart's trying to just go for the minimum necessary data collected and used. Great idea. That would be tough. Walmart does have consent management. In other words, you guys often would log into something that says which cookies you're going to allow. Manage my cookies, accept all, reject all. Okay, that's essentially what we're talking about. They want to go back, they want to go past opt in, opt out. By the way, which one of these is most restrictive, opt in or opt out? Well, unfortunately, companies automatically opt you in if you don't opt out. Okay, so that's something that's very restrictive. If your company decides everything that the customer's going to use, they have to opt in on it. So you have to put a whole new layer in there. Anonymization techniques, this is to try to get away from personally identifiable information. That's a great idea, especially in the healthcare industry. Well, it's absolutely necessary with HIPAA regulations. And the regulations that correspond to HIPAA overseas are even more strict than ours. And then, of course, privacy audits. Then I want to get, they do training on data privacy and governance. Look, they have a lot of employees. I'd like to know how they're doing that. We have stuff here at Auburn. Okay, have you gone through this where we have cybersecurity, the videos come through?
Yeah.
And they say, if you don't don't go through this video for training, then we're going to invalidate your password, at a certain time. So we're at least trying. Privacy policy and in-store notifications. I've never seen these. I guess they've got them up somewhere. The idea, of course, is to give customers an idea that we're not using their data or selling it. And then internationally, of course, that gets to be a problem. Naturally, they're doing recommendation systems, and we collect all their data, all of our data. Notice, what we're trying to do, you're going to try to get away from identifying you personally. So I'm going to aggregate, anonymize. You can opt out of personalized recommendations, although that kind of kills the idea. And then make recommendations without exposing you individually. And then, of course, they audit. Now, shadow AI. This is usually in organizations that are moving very slowly and somebody gets frustrated. This has come to the forefront with generative AI. And you've got independently building tools or solutions. Well, the IT group or the executive sponsor is going to be very upset if that goes on.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
What if the AI tools you rely on every day were actually working against you? Imagine a world where employees are secretly using powerful AI technologies without any oversight, leading to data leaks, compliance nightmares, and even catastrophic business failures. This isn't some distant sci-fi scenario. It's happening now, and experts are raising the alarm. This trend, known as shadow AI, could be the next big disaster in the tech world. Stay tuned as we uncover how this hidden threat could wreak havoc on your organization. Introduction to shadow AI. Let's dive into a topic that's been quietly shaking up the tech world, shadow AI. If you know about shadow IT, you get the picture. Employees using unauthorized software or devices to get their work done under the radar. Shadow AI is when employees start using AI technologies like chatbots, generative models, or data analysis tools without getting the green light from their IT department. Sounds risky, right? Well, it is. In 2024, shadow AI isn't just a buzzword. It's a growing concern. As AI tools get more powerful and accessible, Employees are turning to them to get things done faster, often skipping over the risks. The real problem? These AI tools are being used without IT or security oversight, meaning no one's watching out for data leaks, compliance issues, or even the accuracy of the AI's outputs. And here's where it gets really concerning. These tools often handle sensitive data, sometimes without the user even realizing it. Picture this. An employee uses a generative AI model to draft a report and unknowingly feeds confidential company info into the system. If that data isn't protected, it could land in the wrong hands, leading to breaches or even legal trouble. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Shadow AI can also lead to messed up data analysis, biased outcomes, and more. In today's data-driven world, these mistakes can cost big, both in dollars and reputation. Why is shadow AI catching on? Simple: speed and efficiency. AI tools can streamline workflows, automate tedious tasks, and generate insights in a flash. But this convenience comes with a price. When employees prioritize speed over following the rules, they open the door to all sorts of risks. Shadow AI is the latest tech challenge that companies need to tackle. While the benefits of AI are huge, they need careful oversight to avoid disaster. And here's something worth noting. The allure of AI is so strong that it's causing a shift in workplace dynamics. Employees are becoming increasingly autonomous in their tech choices, often bypassing traditional approval processes to get the job done quicker. While potentially innovative, this shift blurs the lines of accountability and opens the door to a slew of unforeseen consequences. The decentralized use of AI tools can create a fragmented technological environment where different departments or teams might be using different AI platforms, leading to a lack of cohesion in data management and decision-making processes. The risks associated with shadow AI. Now, let's get into why shadow AI is setting off alarms. Sure, AI tools are tempting with their promise of speed and efficiency, but the hidden risks? They're no joke. Compliance and regulatory risks. First up is compliance. Most businesses have to follow strict regulations, like GDPR in Europe or other data protection laws. Shadow AI can easily lead to violations because it often involves using AI tools without the proper thumbs up from IT or legal teams. Imagine this. An employee uses an AI platform that doesn't play by the rules, and suddenly the company is slapped with hefty fines or even legal trouble. The big issue? Without IT or legal oversight, it's almost impossible to ensure these AI tools meet the necessary standards. And here's the kicker. Some of these tools might be processing data on servers in other countries, potentially breaking international laws. For example, using an AI-driven translation tool could send sensitive info to servers in countries with different data protection laws. This doesn't just violate regulations. It creates a compliance nightmare, data security and confidentiality concerns. Next up is data security. When employees go rogue with AI tools, they might expose sensitive data without even knowing it. Imagine an employee using a generative AI model to draft a document and feeding it confidential info. If that AI platform isn't secure, that data could be leaked, or worse, hacked. Take March 2023, for example. OpenAI's ChatGPT suffered a breach that exposed sensitive user info due to a bug. This incident shows just how vulnerable AI tools can be if not properly monitored. Srikanth Menon, Genpact's AI ML head, warns that unsanctioned AI use could lead to serious compliance issues, like violating the EU AI Act, which could mean hefty fines. Worse, employees could unknowingly expose sensitive data to insecure AI tools, raising the risk of data breaches and cyber attacks. Quality control and inaccurate outputs. Let's not forget about quality control. AI tools are powerful, but they're not perfect. Without proper checks, employees might rely on AI-generated outputs that are inaccurate, biased, or downright wrong. These errors can be disastrous in fields like healthcare, finance, or legal work. Think about it. A flawed AI model in finance could lead to massive financial losses as inaccurate data gets baked into decision-making processes. By the time anyone catches the mistake, it might be too late. And the risk isn't just about financial losses, it's also about eroding trust within the organization. When AI outputs are inconsistent or incorrect, it can lead to a lack of confidence in the tools and decisions being made. Employees may start to second-guess the data they rely on, slowing down decision-making processes and causing internal friction. In the worst-case scenario, this can lead to a culture of distrust, where the tools meant to enhance productivity are a source of anxiety and inefficiency. Operational disruptions. Lastly, operational disruptions. When employees lean on unauthorized AI tools, they create a shadow IT network that's outside of the IT department's control. This can lead to compatibility issues, software conflicts, and even system outages. And if the IT team suddenly discovers and shuts down these AI tools, it could bring critical business processes to a screeching halt. The ripple effect of such disruptions can be particularly damaging in time-sensitive environments. For example, in the healthcare industry, where accurate, timely information is vital, any disruption caused by shadow AI could lead to delays in patient care, misdiagnoses, or worse. In manufacturing, a sudden halt in AI-driven automation could disrupt the supply chain, leading to production delays and financial losses. Potential disaster scenarios. Cybersecurity breaches. Shadow AI is a ticking time bomb when it comes to cybersecurity. Malicious actors can easily exploit vulnerabilities in poorly monitored AI-generated code, leading to catastrophic breaches. For example, a hacker could manipulate an unsecured AI tool to inject harmful code into a company's system, compromising sensitive data and potentially wreaking havoc on the entire network. The scary part? These breaches might go unnoticed for a long time, with AI systems often deeply integrated into a company's infrastructure. By the time anyone realizes what's happened, the damage...
The government is banning this $39 electric lighter next month, and this is your last shot to get the original high-powered version.
Could be extensive, with sensitive data already compromised or sold on the dark web. Data integrity breaches. A major concern with shadow AI is the risk of data integrity breaches, where AI tools produce incorrect or misleading information. Google's Bard is a prime example of this. It incorrectly displayed information about the James Webb Space Telescope, leading to a $100 billion market value loss. This incident underscores how unmonitored AI outputs can lead to significant financial and reputational damage. Similar breaches in a shadow AI scenario could cause disastrous outcomes if incorrect information is propagated throughout an organization. And once trust is broken, whether internally or externally, it can take years to rebuild. Furthermore, these breaches can erode trust within the organization and with clients and partners. Once an organization is known for distributing faulty information, it can be challenging to rebuild that trust, leading to a loss of business and long-term reputational damage that could take years to repair. Operational disruptions. Shadow AI can also throw a wrench in normal business operations by spreading incorrect information or creating dependencies on unauthorized tools. Just look at what happened with Google's Bard. Incorrect info didn't just cause a financial hit, it also dinged the company's reputation. Now, imagine employees relying on AI tools for crucial tasks, like financial forecasting or customer data analysis. If the AI spits out bad data, it could lead to massive operational disruptions, not to mention a loss of customer trust, a drop in market competitiveness, and possible legal trouble if the misinformation leads to regulatory violations. Plus, if those AI tools fail or are suddenly shut down, it could bring business operations to a standstill. The hidden costs of such disruptions can be extensive, from lost productivity to the resources needed to address the fallout. In the worst-case scenario, these disruptions could force a company to halt operations temporarily, leading to significant financial losses and potentially even triggering layoffs or restructuring. Strategies to mitigate shadow AI risks. Establishing AI governance frameworks. To tackle the risks of shadow AI, organizations need to set up solid AI governance frameworks with clear policies on AI usage. These frameworks should bring IT and security teams into the loop when approving AI tools and projects to ensure everything is above board and secure. By integrating these frameworks into the company's broader risk management strategies, organizations can ensure compliance and protect their operations from unauthorized AI usage. With AI tech evolving so rapidly, these governance frameworks need to be adaptable and ready to face new risks as they arise. Additionally, governance frameworks should be adaptable, considering the rapid evolution of AI technologies. As new tools and platforms emerge, organizations must continuously update their policies and procedures to address emerging risks. This dynamic approach ensures that governance remains relevant and practical, even as the technological landscape shifts. Employee training and awareness. Another key strategy is rolling out comprehensive training programs to get employees up to speed on the risks of shadow AI. These programs should highlight the dangers of unauthorized AI usage and encourage employees to stick to the rules when using AI tools. By fostering a culture of compliance and vigilance, organizations can cut down on shadow AI activities and ensure AI tools are used responsibly. Real-world examples in these training sessions can make the risks more tangible, helping employees understand why following the guidelines is crucial. Implementing monitoring and access controls. Finally, organizations should deploy monitoring tools and access controls to monitor AI usage and stop unauthorized activity in its tracks. These tools give IT teams the visibility they need to spot and deal with risks before they spiral out of control. Regular audits can also help catch unauthorized AI tools that might have slipped through the cracks, ensuring all AI applications align with company policies. By staying proactive, companies can maintain tighter control over their AI deployment.
Tell you, there's nothing more dry than all this stuff that we've done in chapter 3. I can't even tell you how important it is because it's absolutely essential, and you'll be involved in it one way or the other. You guys will be on the front end, a lot of people will be on the back end. Everything in chapter 3, it's dry, it looks like it's incredibly boring in a classroom, but it's really important out there in the real world. Okay, see you Wednesday.